introduce this topic again. You talked about it 50 seconds ago for the viewers that are just coming in at halftime, wondering what the score is. You talked about it, Sean. It is the situation that's been going on this last weekend. The LA Lakers obviously played their final game, and then the news came out about Wojnarowski. Why don't you ask your question again, Sean, so we can kind of talk about this and have a healthy conversation about this?
Yeah. I was just, kind of wondering what your thoughts and opinions are on the way that they hired the way that they handled the Frank Vogel firing, given that they clearly leaked it before they even had told him in the middle of a game.
Mm-hmm.
And Woj tweeted it out while he was still on the court.
Yeah, I mean, to the Woj thing, I think that was kind of spineless to me. That was a little cowardly. I just feel like these kind of insiders have been kind of, especially like the Schefters, the Wojnarowskis, like they for some reason ESPN is trying to include these like personal stories when it comes to like them reporting or tweeting their stuff. Like we talked about, I don't know if we sent it in our group chat about the Dwayne Haskins situations and the way that
Hmm.
Adam Schefter kind of reported that, and I was just kind of like, dude, like, what are you doing? And it's the same thing that happened here for me for Frank Vogel. Not maybe not the same degree in terms of like volatility or anything like that, but I just think for me, what I'm seeing here is that the Lakers handled it very poorly. And I think that the Lakers need to look at themselves in the mirror and figure out what made them so much functional in the 80s and in the early 2000s, because this was not happening in those times. I understand social media, different monster, I get it. But, to me, what I'm seeing here is that the Lakers are far beyond where they used to be in terms of an organization that's well respected, one that's well ran. To me, it just feels like they just kind of take stuff out of a hat and just say, okay, this is how we're going to run the organization now. We're like, hey, we're going to go in this direction, when really, they don't have a plan. And we all, and well, I guess their plan for the most part, Sean, is obviously get the star players no matter what. We trade our young assets, our young pieces, and try to get that superstar, because that's the way that the Lakers work. Like, they don't build through the draft. They've obviously tried to do that before, and it's gotten them nowhere. So they decided to mortgage the future, and they won a championship. And I just feel like that's the way that the Lakers are going to keep running their business as long as Jeannie Buss is the owner of this franchise. Um, but I did not like it. Again, I don't think that anybody would appreciate getting a tweet before you finish playing or anything like that. I'm not seeing Wojnarowski tweeting away that some players are done after this year. Like, Carmelo's not going to get re-signed. This is his final game. And to me, that is where I get frustrated when it comes to that stuff, because again, whether you agree or disagree with Frank Vogel's tactics and his movements and whatever that he does on the court in terms of organizing, uh, I would say the team and the way that the team is organized, I don't think that you should want this for anybody, because I don't think anybody wants to get immediately fired or know like, hey, there's reports of you getting fired on Monday. What do you make about that? And it turns out to be true, and it just doesn't look good for anybody. And so I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. I think that the Lakers are showing you why they are a dysfunctional mess. And I think that they need to look at themselves in the mirror and figure out how can we change that narrative about us. But I don't know if the Lakers can at this point.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I love a good leak and I love, big news, but it's like, I just find, Schefter, Waj, Shams, like I find these guys to be so annoying and I feel like they're bad for fans and they're bad for the sport simply because like I remember watching the NFL draft like
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago and they would literally be tweeting out who the teams are picking 3 picks before it even gets there on live TV. And it's just like you're literally ruining the entire draft. And then I watched them go and like when the Kraken had their expansion draft for the NHL,
Mm-hmm.
the roster there's I was going to the live event where we were drafting the players and they
Mm-hmm.
had revealed the entire roster like 6 hours before. And it's just like I get that they want the interactions and the clicks and it's, probably good for ESPN or whatever, but or NFL Network, but it's just like
Mm-hmm.
so disrespectful to the fans and like event organizers and the players themselves. And it just makes me so frustrated.
Yeah, I mean that to me is kind of it as well. It's just like it kind of ruins the experience of like this type of talk that we're having right now. Because we could be talking about Frank Vogel, we can talk about like, hey, who's going to be the next head coach, and then immediately like 2 minutes later, it's like Woj and Shams are already reporting on stuff. Again, I don't mind some of the stuff as much, but what I do mind is, like you said, like spoiling things and just kind of not really having respect for others in terms of the way that they handle themselves in terms of talking on social media. Like I said, the Dwayne Haskins ones to me really irks me a lot because it's like the dude just died. We get it. He wasn't, a quarterback that was, a superstar or a star, but he was trying to find his way on the roster. He was trying to find his way to kind of get on a team. Like he was with the Steelers at the time, and he's working on trying to get to that spot, and then all of a sudden he dies. It was an unfortunate accident, and then you have Schefter talking about how he was a struggling quarterback. And
Yeah.
to me,
They
like,
forget that they forget that they're people before they're actual,
yeah,
athletes. So,
yeah, and to me, they could have just said, "Hey, Dwayne Haskins died," and unfortunately, you can say like Commanders quarterback Dwayne Haskins has died, or former Commanders quarterback has died.
yep.
Instead, they like try to add nuance to it. It's the same thing that ESPN does with their NFL draft stories. I don't know if you remember this stuff. It talks about like whenever a player gets drafted, they always bring up like their
His
maybe the
dad is dead.
parent, the dad's dead. The someone went to jail, other things like that, like just stuff that just is not relevant to the conversation of a player when it's really just about his family that has that's dealing with that, and that really should be the response. That should be the thing for the player and himself rather than like trying to force this stuff on it. And so to me, like you said, I don't think that this was necessarily the right thing to do, but in terms of like the Lakers and the way that they're kind of handling their sort of situation, I mean, like this article talks about, Frank Vogel, another sign of the Lakers' dysfunction. And I think that they are dysfunctional. They just don't have a plan. They don't have any type of thing to kind of center them and to figure out, like, okay, well, let's go this way. Like I said, there's no plan for the Lakers. And I don't know, Sean, if you're a Lakers fan, how should you feel that your coach got fired like this? Like, how would you feel if you were a Laker fan?
I mean, I'd be pissed. I don't think. I'd be pissed, but at the same time, a lot of Lakers fans do rub me the wrong way just because like they've won so many championships and they won one literally 2 years ago, and they act like the world is falling. And yeah, teams have to go through hard times, and it's normal. Um, but obviously, the Lakers franchise is super dysfunctional on like a different level. But I think a lot of that's exasperated because they always are the talk of the
Mm-hmm.
NBA, especially given that they have LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think there's multiple pieces to it, but I don't necessarily feel bad for like Lakers fans because they did win a championship 2 years ago. And it's like, can't you, be happy for like a bit? Like, it's just,
No, that's Lakers for you, man. They are never satisfied with where they're at. They always want more, and that's just kind of the way that that's the way LA is in terms of a city. Not to like crap on LA in terms of a city, but they always are like in this like city of lights, city of angels. Like they always want more and more and more, and they're never satisfied. And so, and same as their team, like they're never satisfied. I just think that the Lakers have to start thinking about like what they're gonna do. I think they should fire Rob Pelinka. Like the fact that he's still there as a GM is a little concerning to me because he did win them a championship, but I do think that there were some caveats to that championship. Not saying that it doesn't count, but there were some obviously external factors that played into that championship, and so you can't deny those are not gonna affect the way that teams are gonna operate. And so obviously the signings that he brought in, the signings that LeBron brought in, they didn't work this year. And so, whatever coach that they decide to bring in, I know Nick Nurse has been the strong rumored candidate because he is a Clutch Sports uh he's represented by Clutch Sports, and so there's obviously that connection. I think
yeah.
if Nick Nurse is going to go there, he needs to really lay down the line and say like this is the way that I want to build my team and the way I want to do it, and I'm going to make sure that I have a plan for the players to fit that system and mold.
Yep. I remember I told you I thought the Wizards won that trade like bigly, and I got the tweets to prove it. And I feel like they did. Yeah, they didn't make the playoffs, but Bradley Beal also got hurt, and they still have a lot of kind of like development and young pieces. And I think this Lakers team, if they had kept all the players and ran with that squad of having, Kuzma, KCP, Harrell, I think they would have made the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of goes to show you that like they had to rely on Malik Monk, they had to rely on these other players that
Austin
normally
Reeves.
Austin Reeves. I mean, Austin Reeves should really be a role player on this team, and instead they kind of had to rely on him to be like the Caruso replacement. Which, again, I think he's very well on his way at least to be competitive in that sense. But he's still a young player. You just can't rely on young players to carry your team. And so not in this league because of the way that they come in at a very young age. And I think that this is a grown man's league, and that's why LeBron James loves to have his older players play with him and not have like such young players drafted. That's why he traded away Andrew Wiggins all those years ago. So
Yep.
I
Yep.
think that the Lakers are going to be in a world of hurt in terms of figuring out what they're going to do. Because I mean, the other thing too, Sean, we got to talk about it is the elephant in the room is Anthony Davis. Is he going to be a guy that can stay healthy? That's the biggest question. I'm not sure if I can trust him to stay
I don't
healthy.
know. I mean, he's so much like more frail than he was just like a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the key to him not getting injured is it's definitely not going to help with him like losing all this weight and like getting slimmer. It's like he used to be just such a dominant big man, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
he can still do that maybe if he's healthy and especially like defensively, but I just don't think whatever he's doing, like he looks so skinny, like so
Mm-hmm.
thin, and like it's just he's not the player he was just like even a couple years ago. And so it's tough, but I mean, they obviously have to find a way to get Westbrook off that
Mm-hmm.
team, but I don't know who in their right mind would do that, would trade for him.
I heard the Indiana Pacers could be an option for Malcolm Brogdon and Buddy Hield.
I I mean, I wouldn't be trading those players for Westbrook, like unless their plan is to tank.
They might be
Like, I mean,
trying
if
to
the
tank.
Lakers had traded for Buddy Hield to begin with, like they were, reportedly was one of their targets, I think they would have been. I think they probably could have made the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, to me, like, when it comes to like Anthony Davis, it's just like I would say that they need to figure out what to do with him. Uh, they need to start trading him. They need to just get rid of him. Because I don't think that he's going to be healthy enough to really help them win a championship. And in terms of Westbrook, I think that they probably would trade him, Sean, just because I think that they're to the Pacers. I think the Pacers are in this predicament where they need to figure out like who they're really going to build around because they don't really have anybody. I mean, they have Halliburton, um, but they need more pieces, and so I think that they're going to figure out a way to trade him. And I think that by getting Westbrook, he could probably lead you to losing more games, and that might be something to look at.
I mean, to get Westbrook off the books, so they're gonna have to give up like a first too, right, or something.
Yeah, as soon as that first becomes available, it seems like they always trade away their first round pick. So
Hmm. Yeah, I
it's
mean, well, when you have LeBron, it's always an opportunity to do a win now situation.
yeah,
And so, I mean, do you think? I'm guessing you are of the opinion that LeBron's definitely not going to extend. He only has one more year left, or what?
one more year left. I don't think he's going to
Yeah.
extend unless there's like some promises that if he stays another year or two, he's going to get a boat or like ownership of the Lakers. Like that's the only way that he
Where?
would.
Yeah. Where's the best fit for him?
Uh Trying to think what would be the best fit for him. I mean, there's a lot of like teams that I could potentially see with him. Um, I think Cleveland's obviously an option just because of the way that they can just kind of hide him in the zone that they play. But I just don't know if like the owner would want him back.
Yeah, I mean, do you
Um,
think he wants to do a reunion or go to a new team? Like, does he want to go to Miami or Cleveland or?
no, I think he might go to a new team. I could honestly see him if they have the room for him. They could potentially go to the Warriors and
Yeah,
just
I
run it
know that would be insane.
and have him and Wardell and Clay. And I
If
think
I'm
they can.
Bron, I'm taking a vet min and I'm going to Golden State.
Yeah, I mean, why not, man? Like you're making all your money,
Billionaire.
making off all your money in Nike. You have a lifetime contract, and then you know just use that min that you're getting and just kind of use it for. Trying to think what you could. You can just use it for the body because I mean he spends $1 million on his body every year, With inflation, it might be a little bit more now, but I just think that for him, I don't know. Uh, I just get, I just don't know what team really what he would fit on. Like if he was just like, if I was just to like look at teams, I could see him maybe going. It'd be a stretch, but the Utah Jazz because he's friends with Dwayne Wade. I think that team is missing like another type of guy like LeBron, and that could be a good fit for him. Um, I think the Memphis Grizzlies could also be a good fit, but I don't know if you want to ruin that young core. Maybe not ruin, but kind of ruin the momentum of it with adding LeBron James and having him kind of be the star of the show.
What about the
Uh,
Nuggets?
the Nuggets wouldn't be a bad option. I mean, they're gonna have to get rid of some pieces. I would probably get rid of Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, Aaron Gordon. I don't think. I mean, I'd get rid of him to get Braun.
yeah, I mean they could also go Chicago. Chicago's not a bad option either. Go to go to Boston, his long hated rivalry with Boston, and could join them. That could also be another team that he joins. But I don't know. We'll find out like what is the real fit for him in the future. I mean, what do you think, Sean? If you had to pick one team, what team would that be?
If I had to pick one team for him to go to, that's tough. I mean, I really did want to see him team up with Dame, but that team is just like like if you just look at their injury report, it's insane. So, I mean, they really fell off hard with injuries, so I don't think you'd want to go there. Um, I think I mean, it depends because he has to go somewhere. Do you think he has to go somewhere where there's not already someone who's super ball dominant?
I think he does because I think that he's gonna want the ball in his hands. Not saying that he's gonna like over dribble, but he's gonna definitely be the guy that you kind of play through. So like if he has the ball in his hands, you're running some sort of action where he can give you the ball quickly. So what team would
Yeah.
that be?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'd want to see. I kind of want to see him play with like the Mavs or something and team up with Luca. But that's again, Luca's super ball dominant.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, whatever team he goes to, they're going to have to basically just give the keys to him in terms of letting him run his thing. But we'll find out in the future really what that's going to entail. And then did you hear the rumors of Mark Jackson also potentially being the new coach?
No, I didn't. That would be super interesting.
He said he would be enthused if he got the Lakers job. let's read into it and make sure that there's not like sources familiar with LeBron James thinking. Um, okay, I might have reported that Nick Nurse, Coach Juwan Howard also might be an option as well. Now the former coach may be someone to keep an eye on. Well, name sort of potential coaching jobs remains to be seen if Jackson would want to return to coaching, let alone return to the sidelines. Oh, I don't know. I mean, what do you feel about the Lakers job, Sean? Like, is it a job that you would want, or is it a job that like you have to just kind of be like a stooge to get or want?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'd want it, to be honest. It's just like in such a bad situation with like the way the cap is allocated, and then they had a bunch of like fill-ins on 1-year deals that they probably won't get to keep. Um, like Malik Monk. Was Kendrick Nunn on a 1-year deal?
Yes, I believe so.
So he's probably going to go somewhere else too. I think a team will be able to outbid the Lakers on him and just take a gamble. Um, I don't know. Feels like they're in a pretty bad situation.
Yeah, we'll find out. Like, I don't know. I'm not I'm not
I'll
convinced
be
right
right
now.
back.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just don't know, guys. I mean, let me know in the comment section down below what do you guys make of this story. I mean, again, I just don't know from personal perspective, like this is really the move that they should be making. I would love for Mark Jackson to get another opportunity because I think he's a great coach. And I think you saw some good stuff when he was in Golden State. Obviously, they unlocked more when Steve Kerr became coach, but I don't know, man. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys make of this Frank Vogel situation? Well, I'd love to know what you guys have as an opinion in the comment section down below when it comes to this sort of coaching situation of Mark Jackson potentially being the new coach because LeBron James is thrilled. see here.